There's been months without any relevant happenings, so while we wait, anyone has any night shift stories to tell?
It's a small field, but not many people know how haunted most libraries are. Be me. Worked my way up to library manager. Managed 3 libraries thus far. Board of Supervisors, District Manager, etc. always tell you what's up with your branch shortly after taking the job. Current branch is pretty fucked. Female employees, 90% of the workforce in the field, at my library suffer the most. Angry noises affect one employee. Accuses her teammates of pranks. Stomping around, doors slamming, men shouting, etc. while in the back room. Another female employee has been locked inside the bathroom with the lights thrown off. Sink turned on when she was in there. Heard her cry for help, as staff bathroom on other side of manager's office. Door was locked and required my master key, the only key that can lock that door from outside. Obviously, I was not responsible and would never do this. Public restrooms are a no-go for my female employees. They are opened and closed by me, and me alone. Stalls will slam in sequence, lights will go on and off, diaper stations spontaneous fall open. Most libraries keep a second incident report log. This is usually very private and quiet. We know these as unexplained phenomena logs. We are usually county and local government, so staff safety still needs to be ensured. I have had to close the branch one day. County maintenance guy and myself fabricated that the power was lost to the facility. Not true. We flipped the breakers as proof for when my opener arrived. Truth is, it was a mess inside the building. Books were literally everywhere, as if someone with a grudge had broken in. Workstations and service counter a mess of unloaded staplers, pencils broken into dozens of pieces, and our copier bulb was burned out after running all night. Pages photocopied were of the ceiling above the copier. More? More it is, then. This last winter, 2020, Board of Supervisors decided that operational hours needed to be extended, to make up for the doors being closed during the Great Confining. Genius decided that the branch will be open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Yes, that way we can serve the exactly 0 people wanting books at night, in the snow and cold. No female employee closes during the winter nights anymore. Our hours have changed to 6 p.m. extended hours. This is the reason why. Week 5 of stupid late night hours. I'm closing with, let's call her, Janet. Janet is a really cool employee. Never says no, a great self-starter, and is fun to work with. She's had her own encounters. She's the employee who faces the phantom harassment. Approximately around 7:50 p.m., a snowstorm hits the area. I offer her the ride home as to not endanger her elderly mother, as Janet does not drive. Shortly after hearing the winds and snowfall, a cacophony of noise erupts from the lobby. Slamming, banging, glass shattering, and a deep booming. Janet and I cease our chatting, and I get up to investigate the cause. At the glass doors to the lobby, nothing is of note. The front doors are closed, light is on. I enter the lobby. I've taken about 4 steps from the glass doors to the closed front doors, as the glass doors slam behind me. I turn, expecting to see Janet. She's not there. Turning back towards the front doors, the right wall with our public bulletin board begins dropping flyers one by one. The tacks remain in place. I stare dumbfounded as the bulletin board sheds itself nude. In this lobby, there are 2 doors to the left that are the entrance to our public meeting room. The meeting room doors slammed on their locks, rhythmically. I jolted at this, but stared in shock as the blackness in the room is all that could be seen through the door windows. The light in the lobby started to flicker out of sync with the pounding. At this point, I'm finished with this. I've heard things and have seen things, but this is my first truly wholly unexplained experience in this branch. I make a deliberate walk to the doors, leading into the library, and walk back inside. Janet is not at the customer service desk. I was unnerved by the experience from the lobby, but something about the familiarity of the library interior made her not at the desk okay. She was more than likely just shelving. Sure enough, I hear the squeaking of a book truck. After a single use, they all begin to squeak. I step into my office to check my emails once more, and finish a flyer for a children's program we were planning for the holidays. As I type, I hear squeaking of the truck, then a pause. I'm thinking that indeed, Janet is shelving in the stacks somewhere. After about 10 minutes of my working, and the sound stopping and beginning of the book truck, I decide to go back to the main library and see if Janet needs assistance in finishing. The book truck is right in front of my open office door. completely void of any library materials, placed directly in front of the open space, so that I must move it to venture forward. I move the cart, and briskly make a tour through the library. I went through every shelf bay, and checked our teen room. I hadn't heard Janet walk by with the book truck, nor had I heard her out on the floor. In a panic, I head for the staff break room. A sinking feeling washed over me, that potentially the noises in the lobby were a distraction from some sort of bad guys who've entered the library through other means. The staff break room lights are off. I turn them on. The small room is empty. I check the back door staff entrance, it's locked. I think of the staff bathroom. I try the handle, and it's locked. I knocked. Nothing. I knock harder, saying Janet's name. Nothing. I take the master key, and unlock the door. Janet is on the floor of the bathroom, crying her eyes out. Mascara all over her face. She looks up wide-eyed, and grabs me around the waist, absolutely delirious, saying my name and how she was trapped. I bent down to comfort her, asking what the fuck happened. I help her up, and we sit at the lunch table. She's shaking as I bring her a box of tissues. When I had gone out to source the noise, she had waited more than 15 minutes for me to return. I stated that this wasn't possible, but she cut me off. She had gotten up to use the bathroom. She did her business, washed her hands, but the towel dispenser didn't work. She tried a few more times, but decided to exit the bathroom and use the towels in the kitchenette. The door wouldn't budge. She tried over and over, but the door was locked. She began pounding the door, and yelling my name. Frantic now, she became more and more terrified of her situation. That was when the lights went out on her. She felt around quickly for the switch, but no matter how many times it went up and down, the lights would not come back on. The sound of footsteps echoed on the tile floors. She said it sounded like 3 people were in there with her. This is when she began to cry. She was just waiting for the moment something, or someone, would shove her, push her, or run into her. She curled up in a corner trying to make herself as small as possible. She covered her head, but after just a moment, the footsteps stopped. The sink came to life. Gushing water, then it turned off. Gushing water, then off again. On the 3rd time, it began to just drip. Each drop becoming louder than the last, until, as she stated, the sound began to hurt her ears. It was then I arrived. When the lock turned over from my key, the lights came back on. I profusely apologized to Janet. However, I had been on the opposite side of the wall and heard nothing. I swore if I would have heard her, I would have been there in seconds. Janet wasn't okay. Of all the instances of these experiences, this had been the worst. She refused to be left alone, and the 2 of us traveled around the building and stayed close. I believed her story, but the time issue was nagging at me. Currently, the time was now 8:20. I had checked my PC clock at my workstation when I returned from the lobby and floor, but my time added up. Something about this was odd, and terrifying. With only 40 minutes left of being open, we remained at the service counter watching videos to calm Janet down. Though frightened myself at what she told me, I needed to remain calm and in control for her sake. What happened next still gives me the chills. The ceiling of the library is an enormous labyrinth of beams and crossbars, like a cathedral vaulted ceiling. The beams began to creak and moan, as if a great weight had been placed upon them. "Oh shit, must be the snow," I stated. As I finished the last syllable of snow, I was struck on top of my head. A DVD case had fallen from the beams. I looked up, nothing there. Janet began shuddering, and sobbing. The creaking and moaning became slower, louder. I rose from my seat, and beckoned her towards me. The DVD and Blu-ray stacks started to shed materials from them. In 1s, 2s and 3s, DVD and Blu-rays fall from the shelves. "We're done. We're leaving." Quickly, we headed for the back room and grabbed our coats. Making it to my vehicle, I started the engine and drove to the entrance. I locked the doors, and we left for the night. I recorded the incident, and informed the county library manager of what had transpired. The building was a mess in the morning. In addition to the visual media, the children's picture books, non-fiction, and half the adult fiction were completely removed from their shelving. I contacted Janet, asked how she was doing. She was thinking of quitting. She had never felt so helpless, powerless, and worst of all, afraid. To be honest, I begged her to stay. She's a fantastic employee, and she still works for me. However, female employees do not close, or stay after dark. We do not have a lock on the bathrooms now. A sign that says, "Occupied and vacant" is on the outside of the door, and needs to be flipped. Obviously, employees must additionally knock. Closing shifts are for male employees only. For some reason, our unexplained phenomena are limited to slamming doors and flickering lights. I have more stories if ANONs are interested. From this library, and others. Attached are the beams and rafters. This is where the public restrooms are located. The light flickered upon taking this photo this morning. As previously stated, female employees do not pass this point and either unlock these bathrooms.
Would enjoy more stories, lad? Very interesting stuff.
So why do you think this is happening? What causes libraries to be spook hotspots? Why isn't this a well-known, investigated phenomenon?
I couldn't say. My guess would be, potentially gathering so much information, so many stories in one place, become some sort of magnet or beacon for the unexplained. Like I said, maybe not well known to the public, but certainly well known in the field. For instance, no one doubted Janet or my report that went into the logbook. District manager and board of supervisors were very apologetic, as was I.
It's possible that ghosts are drawn to libraries because they're relatively quiet, and being a ghost doesn't seem like a very fun experience, plus they're often located in places that are suicide hotspots, high schools, universities, etc. So the ghosts might wander back to the place they last felt comfortable.
I'll post again tonight if thread is still alive and there is interest.
Very much interested in more.
I know I'll be keeping this thread bumped.
Working nights at a gas station in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. Vance fucking Craddock randomly comes in at 1 a.m. If you don't know, he's one of a handful of 4-star generals in US history. Same rank as Washington had. This old man used to run shit at Guantanamo Bay. He infamously ordered his men to hunt down and execute heroin runners during Desert Storm. We talk politics. He says he has something interesting to show me. It's his UN credentials card. Proceeds to tell me the US is fucked beyond salvaging. Blames traditional and social media, coupled with the low voting age. Says the US has devolved into a de facto oligarchy, minus all accountability, since stupid kids will vote for and allow anything they hear a celebrity support or are conditioned by social media to believe is the bandwagon take on a given thing. Talks about how real change starts in local government, and until people put the work in to start from the bottom and push for social media reform and a voting age increase to at least 25, things will only worsen. Believes the US is rapidly approaching the point of no return. Encourages me to run for any office in my local government after we chat about our beliefs more. On his way out the door quotes that older Republic if you can keep it line. Probably the most interesting thing I remember from that job. Had an alcoholic regular who got more and more hostile every time I saw him, then tried to hit me after I told him I couldn't sell him beer on Sundays. Had an old boomer couple come in every Tuesday, one distracted me with small talk while the other stole a big container of powdered coffee creamer we kept under the counter. After I realized their game I'd already decided to quit, so let it slide. The last week I worked there, there was a guy who was the star, I hear, of a show called Appalachian Outlaws. He'd come in with his wife and call her a whore, tell her to shut the fuck up constantly, that kind of thing. TV show guy was a raging dickhole to his wife, seriously. She asked him if he'd get her a candy bar once and he says, "Bitch,
I always tell you not to waste my fucking TV money."
Awkward as fuck every time I saw them. I worked at a Goodwill wholesale outlet. We sold all of the stuff that the stores didn't have room for at a per pound price. We would get huge boxes, called Gaylords, filled with assorted shit. People in the back would fill huge rolling tables with the donations, and every 15 to 20 minutes they would roll out the new tables of stuff. Now and then, we would get a shipment that would just have straight up weird shit happen while it was in the warehouse, including 2 Gaylords of realistic, life-size dolls of crying children with sculpted on tears. We had 6 different female employees that quit because they kept getting scratched by something. It stopped after my coworker old man Paul put the dolls through the industrial clothing baler. It's a machine that compresses clothing into giant bricks. Fun fact, if you put anything with stuffing, pillows, old dolls, stuffed animals, some jackets, into an industrial clothing baler, it will shoot stuffing fucking everywhere. It was awesome. Shit stopped after that. I only have one other story, about the strangest break-in I have ever encountered.
Gaylord.
Sounds like that Anon has been elbow deep in a lot of Gaylords in his life.
Shit ain't even the worst of it. Used dildos, dirty diapers, food, literal bags of garbage. 500 pounds of bondage gear, we put that on that bailer to go to Africa. Drugs. Bloody clothes. I had 2 guys get in a fight that people are even worse. I had to break up a fight over 30 expired cola once. The strangest break-in I have ever experienced. Background, I got promoted to loss prevention a few days before this happened. Get a call from my boss to come in early.
We had a break-in, but it's not normal. This is some weird shit. You gotta see this tape.
Break-in attempts were not uncommon. Normally it was junkies trying to get into the safe, or sometimes the electronics room. The electronics room was where the shipments of things that were worth serious money were stored, Apple products, designer bags, high-end electronics, before being sent across town to the online sales division to put on eBay. I get into work, and I see the tape. Tape timestamp, 3:20 a.m. One of the boxes from a shipment of clothes from earlier in the day slowly opens itself. Someone dressed head to toe in black emerges from the box. They beeline to the electronics room, and pick the lock. Inside the ER the person goes to a specific box, opens it and removes one laptop, along with an external drive. They then go to another box, and remove a designer handbag. The thief then exits the ER, walks to the register, puts everything in a plastic bag, and waltzes out the front door. There was easily 20K of stuff that they flat out ignored, including gold jewelry. We only found out about the break-in because the janitor noticed that the front door was unlocked. Library man. New story. This is about my visit to the most extreme rural branch, located in a once beautiful mountainous part of the state. However, an enormous wildfire ruined the area about a decade ago. Most of what was captivating has not grown back, and many of the summer cabiners have never returned because of the state of the place. This branch serves less than 75 people, and is 54 miles from the nearest town. Being young, lucky at times, but busting my ass and paying attention, I became the youngest library manager in my state, with only 4 years experience and a bachelor's degree. I had some great bosses, who showed me how a great library looks, runs, programs, and staffs. District manager is impressed with my 4 months at my current branch. Begs me to do the same at this far-off rural branch the best I can, in 3 days' time. This rural branch is staffed almost entirely by a single volunteer, who is over 80. It is however, funded and paid for by the county, as dictated by the Board of Supervisors. I agree to do my best. I'm always thirsty for the next thing to flex on my resume. I do however, request to take on additional employee with me. It'll be hard work, and the extra hands will be needed. I take my most loyal / reliable / trusted employee. Let's call him DK. DK is a durable artist. He's also 6 feet 8 inches. He will talk for hours about World of Warcraft, a game that ceased being relevant a decade ago, and a game no one has played in that time as well. I affectionately refer to his position as being Chief of Security at my branch. He never says no, craves my approval, but he's a hard worker. We arrived day 1. 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Overtime, so I'm excited to be here to say the least. We reorganize the collection. Clean each filthy item with wipes. Make room for adult programming. Throw out an entire back room worth of useless trash. However, this remote branch is quite creepy, even during the day. It was built entirely upon community donations, and looks like it. Aluminum sliding exterior, small square almost bathroom windows, 9 feet of the ground, and only 6 of them. The entire facility is no larger than most American living rooms. No restrooms. Outside, the forest fire was stopped about 20 feet before it could consume the library. It sits deep in the narrow valley, and about 1.5 miles away from the main lodge that used to attract tourists. It is pretty much the end of the line. No cabins survived the blaze past the library, which used to be in what could be called the center of this tiny town. DK was eager to drive and show off his skills. To complete his durable artist life, his mother purchased him a Jeep Commander, complete with what must be a 20 inches lift, enough lights to see from orbit, and a powered winch which I assumed was for his inevitable tumble off a cliff. This vehicle would be our transport, and if I can sit back and relax and have dinner, I don't mind being chauffeured around the county. Night 2 comes and goes. However, we end up finding that a shelving unit has absolutely molded and needs to be trashed. DK power. I open the doors under the night, and with DK hauling this massive thing with ease, help him load it into the Jeep Commander. There's something a little morose about an area ravages by fire. There are no insects, no birds, no bats, and no deer. Once upon a time, deer would graze in the nearby meadow and create a serene, picturesque setting. Now, it felt like we were on some sort of gray moon. complete with Halloween spooky trees. As we slam the hatch closed, we start crunchy the gravel back towards the building. However, another noise, in this absolutely silent area, makes us turn instantly. Deep in the burned and blackened stick forest to the right, we hear a long, sad cry. It started soft, but ended with a yelp. DK and I continue to look in the direction of the noise, expecting it to continue, or at least start again. Nothing happens. Well, that sounded how I feel. Let's leave, it's late. I say to DK. DK agrees, but starts to ramble and rant about a video game. He often does this when he is nervous. Honestly, I thought that sound could have been anything, and it didn't matter. My own library has its own strangeness, and at this point, I had become desensitized to just about anything. We have our dark drive in peace, and after a while, I've stopped hearing about the new expansion to the video game and how bad it apparently is. Night 3. This is a small county, there are no local law enforcement agencies. The sheriff's department services this huge area, and there are only 6 deputies. Luckily, one deputy, let's call him Alex, hangs out in this small town at night. Deputy Alex creeps/flirts with an underage girl, whose parents own the lodge. I will say, it is consensual. However, he learned that I knew. We had an agreement. I say nothing, look the other way, and in exchange, Alex doesn't notice my Volkswagen speeding by daily going 85 to 90 miles per hour in a 55 highway, on my hour commute. DK and I hit the McDonald's on the highway for dinner before we cruise to the library. As we drive the winding road, sure enough, Alex's sheriff's department SUV is parked out front of the lodge. We pull in front of the library, and finalize the job. I said about finishing their brochures, flyers, and website. DK is now doing some deep cleaning. Halfway through the night, we hear a scraping noise. I jolt up from my daze, and DK looks over quickly to the source. The aluminum sliding on the wall next to me sounds as if something large is dragging itself against it. The sound continues, until it slows, diminishes, and suddenly dissipates. Exactly like something was rubbing against it.
Huh. Sounds like a deer or something needed a butt scratcher,
DK said with a chuckle. I laugh as well, until we hear the same thing against the wall behind me. Same pattern, same gait of stride. Faster this time. Then the wall over by DK. Huh, I say. DK grabs a stool, and attempts to peer out one of the tiny, small and high up windows. The front door creaks from weight. The front door. The only way in and out of this shack. The front door, that is not locked. Instantly, I leap from my chair and dive for the door. I throw the lock on the handle. I back up, expecting the door to start pounding in, and the handle to be tried. Nothing. DK climbs down from the stool.
Hey Anon, I didn't see anything, man. Do you think someone is trying to get in? Like, a patron sees out lights and thinks we're open?
Maybe. I replied. This entire county is crawling with weirdos. Let's call Alex. I trailed off, interrupted by the scraping against the first wall where the noise first came from. It was faster this time. It cleared the first wall, followed by the second, in sequence. Alright, fuck this, I exclaimed. I'm going to call Alex. See if you can see whoever the fuck it is out that window.
Leroy.
DK begins. Please, no man. Just get up there and take a peek, I said. 911 dialed.
County Sheriff Department, Deputy Alex speaking. What is your emergency?
Alex, I say between the scraping noise, speaking loudly now to hear myself over the harsh metallic shrieks. Anon here with the blank County Library District. Hey, we're over here at blank Public Library. Do you hear this? Something is outside and scraping against the sliding. It's been messing with us for a few minutes now. We got the door locked. Can you please get over here and take a look? Though a creep, I appreciated his response and professionalism.
Hang tight. I will be there in 2 minutes. Don't go near the door. I'll have my lights on.
We hung up. DK, see anything? No response from my chief of security. He just stared out the window. DK, do you see anything?
Yeah, like if this is like a super tall black thing that kinda looks like the trees. Then I saw the top of something's head go by a second ago.
DK moans out. My palms are sweating at this point. What the fuck? Alex will be here in like a second. I'm sure he'll see it and give it the business. The sounds stop. We hear a siren. Red and blue lights begin to illuminate through the windows. Car door slams. Crunching gravel. Flashlight beam mixes with the red and blue. Door pounds 3 times with a knock.
Anon, Deputy Alex here. You in there?
Yeah, we're in here. Want me to open up? I shout. A small pause.
Yeah, we're clear out here. But what's happened here?
DK and I exit the library. Outside, we see what he's seeing. The aluminum is scrapped as if it was metal on metal. Deep, light, and medium gouges reflect in the flashlight. I look down. Tracks, circling the small building, are in a line. Alex looks down and shines the light. 3 toe tracks, almost like a bird, are visible. What the fuck? Alex asks us what we're doing, we explain. Asks us if we'd seen anyone, seen anything strange, or heard anything. No, and no. Goes to his SUV. Takes his report log, starts filling it out. Asks for my ID. The squad SUV is parked 6 feet from the building. DK's Jeep Commander is parked to the right, closer to the burned woods, about 30 feet away. As DK and I keep looking around, and Alex is making his report, we all hear it. Very close, very loud. If you've ever seen the movie, the CGI Beowulf film with the sexy golden dragon lady, you might remember the Grendel character, and the sound he made when he heard loud noises. Like this irritated whining noise. We hear something similar to that. It is accompanied by exasperated breaths and wheezing. It coming from over by the Jeep Commander. Alex unholsters his weapon, dropping his log papers. You there? Hands up where I can see them, Alex commands. In the chill of the night, steam is rising from under the Jeep. Something is breathing heavily under it. Gravel is swirling, and with the flashlight, a shadow can be seen under it. Sheriff's Department. Hands out slowly. Let me see your hands. Show me your hands now. He commands again. The gravel stops swirling. The steam sighs out from under the vehicle. Alex approaches, but only slowly. DK's Jeep Commander begins to slide to the left. A slow, dragging slide as the vehicle was slightly lifted as well. The breathing and steam was chugging like a steam locomotive. The car alarm is now wailing. Here's this huge vehicle, being lifted and dragged from underneath, moving slowly towards the tree line. Alex was stunned at this point. Weapon still pointed and drawn, he watched intently with the two of us. After a few seconds, he discharges his weapon into the dirt below the Jeep Commander. The vehicle drops, and ceases to move. A gangly arm grabs the step platform on the driver's side of the Jeep Commander. To me, it looked like a burnt tree, blackened, with an alligator pattern, and have 3 fingers. The hand retreated as suddenly as it appeared. The vehicle tuttled towards us and lifted, as a tall shadow appeared on the other side of that vehicle. Again. Just like DK described, like the top of a tree, only blackened. It sprinted towards the black trees. Police lights turning and flashing red and blue, car alarm still blaring, pistol muzzle smoking. We all stood there in shock. What happened next was your standard, what the fuck, what was that, did you see that, etc. etc. The report was filed, and DK and I gave our testaments. It was not made public. District manager was informed. I was questioned as well, and DK and I were told to never speak about this unless asked by a sheriff, or the district manager. Sliding was sanded down to hide the scratches. Within 2 months, the county announced we would no longer be financially supporting this branch. It would no longer be a part of the county. This was probably the only physical sighting, direct incident with the unexplained I've ever had. If I had to guess, based off of other testimonies here on /x/, I think the thing was some sort of tree creature that got caught up in the blaze. I think it lived in constant pain. I think our lights at the library caught its attention, but ultimately, I think it was afraid of us. Maybe it wasn't before Deputy Alex arrived, but it tried to hide, and then escaped. Never heard anything about it or like it ever since.
Something like this, library man Anon.
Never saw the face. Top of the head is about right, but limbs were thin and had 3 toe/finger thing going on.